incredibly powerful. Of course, a small number of them still chose to stay behind. Around that time, the angel mentioned she needed to go away for a while. Jack thought she might be leaving for good, but Jenny told him not to worry at all. Sure enough, after only 2.5 days, the angel returned with a surprise. It turned out, the elf tribe once lived far in the north, but a war 200 years ago destroyed their homeland. Since then, they had wandered with no permanent home, unable to increase their numbers, so they begged Jack to take them in. Jack had no reason to refuse such an offer. Then Jenny began her familiar introduction routine.
それと黒たち
With so many new people arriving all at once, Jack considered building an extra large house. To his surprise, the elves were not only hardworking, but also highly skilled in construction. Jack even learned quite a few assembly techniques from them. 10 days later, the house was completed. The floor plan looked something like this. It had every facility they could possibly need. Seeing how happy the 9 elf women were, Jack felt deeply satisfied. To thank Jack for taking them in, the elves even took over all the blacksmithing work. Jack was astonished. According to typical otherworldly logic, wasn't that supposed to be a dwarf specialty? What he didn't realize was that the elves had been wandering for 200 years, and had basically learned every skill there was. Holding the large iron wok they made, Jack's thoughts drifted back to his modern life. But what he didn't know was that there were still some things the elves simply couldn't do.
定住と繁殖くらいですかね
The next day, Jack discovered by chance that the elves were also experts at baking. They had even managed to obtain natural yeast. For the first time in a long while, Jack got to eat freshly baked bread. He decided he would plant more wheat soon. Luckily, with the all-purpose farming tool, he didn't have to worry about seeds at all. He could use the newly built reservoir to expand a paddy field for rice. He also didn't need to worry about the planting ceremony. He left that task to the 7 elf helpers. He didn't need to fear pests either. The spider's children took care of that. Soon, 2 rice paddies were completed. And with the power of the all-purpose farming tool, the rice sprouted and headed even faster than expected. Jack then summoned a sickle, but he barely had to lift a finger himself. With the 7 elf helpers around, harvesting the rice was done in minutes. After drying the rice, Jack materialized a threshing machine. Once the grains were separated from the stalks, the next step was hulling and polishing. Although the process was intricate, the moment he saw the finished white rice, he felt truly happy. The final step was cooking the rice. This was when Lulu Lucy used her magic to create fire, but not an intense, burning heat. Just a gentle, low flame was enough. Afterward, Jack shaped the cooked rice into individual rice balls. He even filled them with some of the salted fish. But when Jack went to grab a rice ball for himself, there was only a single grain of rice left in the box. The rest had been taken by the elf girls behind him, each of them holding 2. After finishing this meal, it was time to prepare for the next. So, he took the elf girls to plant more rice seedlings. Although Jack doesn't get tired from work, getting dirty is unavoidable. Unlike his elves, who can just use magic to clean themselves. This gave Jack the idea to build a bathhouse. But no matter how much Jack tried to explain it, the elves couldn't understand the point. They thought simply washing with water was the same. Then Jack asked a critical question. Isn't it cold bathing in winter? He added that soaking in a bath also helps blood circulation. Seeing how determined Jack was, they decided to just get to work. The most crucial part was, of course, the bathtub. It had to be large enough, otherwise, they couldn't all enjoy it together. But just having a bathtub wasn't enough. Troughs for washing their bodies were also essential. The final step was figuring out what to do with the used bathwater. Draining it directly into the river was not an option. Just as Jack was racking his brains, Tia offered a suggestion. They could use slimes to treat the wastewater. Slimes consume waste and purify the environment. They are essentially nature's cleanup crew. Right after saying that, Tia flew off to catch some slimes. Jack, meanwhile, built a purification pond for the wastewater. Although the bathhouse was finished quickly, Jack started going on and on about how to use it. This finally annoyed the lead elf girl. She told him to stop with the nonsense. A direct demonstration would be clearer for everyone. And so, Jack took off his clothes in front of all the girls. You'd think he'd feel some shame, but his skin is thick. Without his heart racing or his face reddening, he started washing. It was the moment he entered the bath that he instantly lost his nerve. Seeing this, everyone else let their guard down. They all took off their clothes and prepared to get in. It was then that the shameless Jack actually blushed. He muttered that they should have waited until he was finished. His 2 wives immediately saw right through him. They said it was nice to bathe together anyway, and it saved them from having to heat the water again. Feeling helpless, Jack had no choice but to accept this unexpected bliss. But the most hateful thing is that the little black spider was being incredibly thoughtful again. It brought back 5 more wild elf girls for Jack. They belonged to the same group as the first 7 elves. They had been separated from them and hadn't seen each other for over 200 years. Jack understood. To reunite the elves, of course he had to let them stay. The ground suddenly began to shake. An angel from the patrol unit came to report. It turned out a brawler bear and a giant serpent were fighting in the forest. Logically, no one would dare get close to such a battle, but Jack's only thought was, can you eat them? So Jack had the angel take him there to restock. He used his all-purpose farming tool to summon a scythe, and with one swing, the brawler bear was down. Everyone was stunned. No one expected the king of the forest to fall to a single strike from Jack. Unlike the shocked onlookers, Jack was already thinking about how to cook it. Soon, a dish of red wine-braised brawler bear was ready. It didn't taste very good, though. Next came crispy fried serpent meat. Surprisingly, it was delicious. It tasted like fried chicken. But what's fried chicken without dipping sauce? Jack then collected a few eggs laid by one of the local bird monsters, cracked them open, added salt and vinegar made from apples, and finally poured in some oil while mixing. Just like that, a sweet sauce was ready.
これこのままでもいけますわよ
He He also took the opportunity to make some miso paste. While he was setting the miso aside to ferment, more visitors arrived. This time, it was a group of dwarves. Too bad they were all old men. They had heard Jack's village had good alcohol and came seeking it out. They also possessed excellent brewing skills, able to turn high-quality crops into delicious liquor. So Jack decided to let them stay and put them in charge of brewing. He even threw a welcome party for them, also celebrating the recent additions of the beast folk and dwarves. Unexpectedly, the dragon Draven also crashed the party. His presence alone wasn't the problem, but he always drank too much and caused a scene. Luckily, his servant was always quick to restrain him. Jack, however, was genuinely pleased. Finally, some adult males had moved in. He asked the dwarves if any of the women in the village caught their eye. It turned out all the women were too young for the dwarves' taste. They preferred mature women with beards. The next day, a dragon appeared above the village. Seeing its hostile intent, Jack prepared to strike first, but then Draven rushed over. Before the two dragons could clash, a fierce white dragon also descended. Seeing this, Jack decisively threw his weapon. Unexpectedly, the white dragon dodged it at the last moment. Suddenly, Draven's servant stepped in front of Jack. It was revealed that the other two dragons were Draven's wife and daughter. Draven had been sneaking out at night, making them suspect he was having an affair. In reality, he was just going out for drinks.
待てお前たち、考えてもみろ。この父に浮気などする度胸があると思うか。
そうでしたわね。はあ、よかった。
After learning the truth, the two apologized to Jack. They also realized the importance of staying on good terms with him. Otherwise, they might end up roasted and eaten one day. It turned out the mother dragon hadn't simply dodged in time. She had tried to block with a barrier, but Jack's attack shattered it instantly. Fortunately, the spider, an old friend of the mother dragon, stepped in and saved her at the last moment. Before leaving, the mother dragon decided to leave her daughter in the village. They couldn't ignore the threat of Jack's power, but rather than having her spy on him, the plan was for the dragon girl to win Jack over. That way, he wouldn't pose a danger to the dragon tribe. Helpless, Jack was forced to accept another wife. The dragon girl wanted to contribute to the village, but as a dragon, her strength was far beyond ordinary. Without careful control, she would break everything. Even when trying to gently pick apples, a single sneeze could cause a huge explosion. It seemed she, too, was stuck at the kids' table. Just as Jack was worrying about what role to give her, Leah reminded him, dragons aren't just physically powerful, their wisdom and knowledge are also superior. So the dragon girl was assigned to handle diplomacy. This, however, absolutely terrified the envoy from the Demon King's army. He had come to subtly demand tribute, but ended up feeling like a debtor being pressed for payment. Small, helpless, and afraid. In the end, he didn't even dare specify an amount, just telling them to give whatever they saw fit. He didn't dare make any real demands. Back at the Demon King's castle, everyone was shocked. No one expected a small village's power to keep growing. The envoy, one of the four heavenly kings, quickly came up with a plan. Send his daughter, Rem, to investigate. At this point, Rem had no idea what she was in for. She was confident in her magical abilities, and thought a small village wouldn't be a big deal. But what greeted her was the rumored, notoriously dangerous dragon girl. While the dragon girl was showing Rem around, an angel came to report that Jack's presence was required to deal with the visiting envoy. Rem seized the chance to scout the village's combat capabilities. Races like the lizardmen, beastfolk, oni, and dwarves would be troublesome, but the Demon King's army could overwhelm them with numbers. However, the vampire princess Lulu Lucy and the angel Tia were top-tier fighters. Even ignoring those two, the three assassins serving under Tia alone would be hard to handle. Soon, Rem noticed the elf women. They were known for abducting young men, and were labeled man-eaters. If surrounded by 5 or more, escape was nearly impossible. But what she saw next shattered Rem's confidence completely.
なんとイーフェルドウルフとデーモンスパイダーがしかも群れをなして今まで魔王国の中ではそれなりに秀でた魔法使いだと自負してきましたがまるで自信がなくなってきました
Seeing how powerful the villagers were, she assumed the village chief must be an incredibly dangerous figure. Just as she was thinking that, Jack appeared. He thought Rem was lost in the woods, and offered to help. But Rem, proud of her demon heritage, wasn't so weak as to need a human's pity. She soon regretted her attitude after returning to the village. Upon asking, she learned that the man she'd just met was the village chief.